Hello there. Welcome to our channel. Please subscribe to get more relevant videos. For recommended books, check the description box and the pinned comments to have a detailed summary of the UAE labor laws. Did you know that the UAE's employment landscape underwent a seismic shift with Federal Decree Law number 33 of 2021? This law reflects the modern, dynamic nature of the UAE's workforce, replacing the outdated Federal Law number 8 of 1980. For HR professionals, understanding these laws is not just about compliance. It's about leveraging its provisions to create a more agile, fair, and productive workplace. Let's dive into the critical components of this federal law. We are only going to cover a general overview of the federal law here, and we'll try to understand the legal differences between free zone laws and mainland laws in the UAE. The federal law applies to all private sector employees in the UAE on the mainland, including UAE nationals and expatriates with valid work permits. However, there are key exclusions, such as government employees and those in financial free zones. It's crucial for HR professionals to verify the applicable jurisdiction. If your company is on the UAE mainland, this federal law applies. For DIFC or ADGM, their distinct laws govern employment. Employment contracts are the cornerstone of the employer-employee relationship. The new law mandates fixed-term contracts, phasing out unlimited-term contracts for new hires. This change emphasizes clarity and mutual agreement. Ensure contracts include mandatory clauses like job title, salary, and leave entitlements. A detailed, company-specific offer letter aligned with more terms is essential to avoid disputes. Working hours are capped at 8 hours per day or 48 hours per week, with reduced hours during Ramadan. Overtime must be compensated, and rest breaks are mandatory for shifts exceeding 5 hours. Leave entitlements include 30 days of annual leave, 90 days of sick leave, and 60 days of maternity leave. HR must update policy handbooks to reflect these entitlements clearly. This if for the mainland laws, and we will cover for the annual leaves in DIFC and Free Zone in this video. The Wage Protection System, WPS, ensures timely salary payments. Distinguishing between basic and total salary is crucial for calculating overtime and gratuity. Structuring salaries with low basic pay can lead to liabilities. Salaries must be paid at least once a month. The law defines wage as all regular payments, including allowances. Ensure compliance to avoid severe penalties, including work permit bans. During probation, termination requires 14 days notice. Post-probation terminations must be for justified reasons, with notice periods and end-of-service benefits clearly outlined in contracts. Documentation is key. Maintain a paper trail for terminations due to performance or misconduct. Calculate financial implications like gratuity and notice pay accurately to avoid disputes. Think of the UAE like a major airport. You have the main terminal, which is governed by the UAE federal law. This is the common law for most of the country. But then you have special, independent private lounges within that airport. These are the free zones. Two of the most prominent lounges, DIFC and ADGM, have their own exclusive rules, their own security, and their own managers. What you can do in the main terminal might be forbidden in the lounge, and vice versa. Other lounges, like DMCC or JAFSA, use the main terminal's rulebook, federal law, but have their own specific procedures for getting in, their own forms to fill out, and their own managers you have to answer to. Your company's legal registration is your boarding pass. It tells you which set of rules you must follow from the moment you take off by hiring your first employee. Free zones like DIFC and ADGM have distinct legal ecosystems. Employment contracts differ, with open-ended contracts being the norm. The DIFC Employee Workplace Savings DUS plan replaces traditional gratuity. Let's meet the key players. There are 3 main scenarios you will encounter. 1. The independent hubs, DIFC and ADGM. These are the giants with their own complete rulebooks. If your company is registered in the DIFC, your Bible is the DIFC Employment Law, number 2 of 2019. It is a self-contained common law-based system. You must use DIFC-specific contracts. If you're an ADGM, you live by the ADGM Employment Regulations 2019. It's equally independent and has its own nuances. Crucially, federal law does not apply here. 2. The federal law zones, TCOM, JAFSA, DMCC, etc. This is where most confusion happens. Most other free zones, and we'll list them all in your handout, do not have their own employment law. The default law for them is the UAE Federal Labor Law, No. 33 of 2021. So for rules on gratuity, leave, etc., you look here. However, each of these zones has its own free zone authority. This authority acts as your primary regulator. This means you must use their standard employment contract template. You go to them for visas, work permits, and immigration. They may have additional requirements on top of the federal law. So you're following federal law, but through the lens and processes of your specific free zone. Understand the differences in working conditions and employee rights. Free zones often offer enhanced benefits, such as extended maternity leave, which can be a significant recruitment advantage. The DIFC Employment Law Number 2 of 2019 is a comprehensive, modern legal framework governing employment relationships within the Dubai International Financial Center, DIFC. It is distinct from the UAE federal labor law and is heavily influenced by international best practices and common law principles. Core philosophy and overview of the DIFC law is designed to provide a clear, predictable, and balanced legal environment for both employers and employees in a global financial hub. It emphasizes on the clarity, written in straightforward, accessible language. It also provides a framework for negotiation, particularly for senior-level employees. It also offers strong protections for employees, often exceeding those in the broader UAE. It has robust anti-discrimination and anti-harassment provisions. The DIFC Employment Law, Number 2 of 2019, applies to all individuals employed within the DIFC with very few exceptions, for example, certain seconded government employees. It also mentions about vicinity clause. It can also apply to employees who regularly perform part of their duties within the DIFC, even if their employer is registered elsewhere. It also mandates a written employment contract, and the contract must include specific key terms such as job title, description, remuneration, working hours, and notice period. The contract cannot waive the employee's statutory rights under the law. Any clause that attempts to do so is void. That means your statutory rights stand tall. Let's understand the types of termination in DIFC. The law is very specific about how employment can end. The first way is termination by notice, under which either party can terminate the contract by serving written notice. The required notice period is 90 days for employees with 5+ years of service, 60 days for employees with 3 to 5 years of service, 30 days for employees with less than 3 years of service. Parties can agree to a longer notice period, but not a shorter one. An employer can dismiss an employee without notice only for serious misconduct, for example, gross negligence, fraud, theft, breach of confidentiality. The process for investigating and alleging this is strict. Termination for redundancy. The law recognizes redundancy, layoffs, as a valid reason for termination. However, there are specific consultation requirements, and employees may be entitled to a redundancy payment. How does end-of-service gratuity work under DIFC? This is a critical financial benefit, calculated differently from the UAE federal law. It is calculated based on the employee's final basic wage. Formula: first 5 years of service, 21 days basic wage for each year. After 5 years of service, 30 days basic wage for each subsequent year. Total cap: the total gratuity cannot exceed the equivalent of 2 years basic wage. Now, let's talk about anti-discrimination and harassment. Protected characteristics. The law prohibits discrimination based on age, race, nationality, religion, disability, gender, pregnancy, and marital status. It explicitly prohibits sexual and other forms of harassment in the workplace. In discrimination claims, if the employee establishes a prima facie case, the burden shifts to the employer to prove that discrimination did not occur. As per DIFC laws, the standard working hours are 48 hours per week, 8 hours per day, 6 days a week. During Ramadan, it is 36 hours per week. Overtime. Generally, employees are not entitled to overtime pay if their annual remuneration is above a certain threshold, which is common for professional roles in the DIFC. Let's talk about the annual leave in DIFC. 20 working days per year for employees with more than 1 year of service. For those with less than a year, it accrues at 2 days per month. Also, sick leaves in DFCs are up to 60 working days per year. Full pay for the first 10 days, half pay for the next 20 days, and unpaid for the subsequent 30 days. A medical certificate is required. Maternity leave, 65 working days of paid leave, first 33 working days at 100% of pay, next 15 days at 50% of pay, and the final 15 days are unpaid. Protection from dismissal during pregnancy and maternity leave is strong. Let's come to the grievance and dispute resolution. Employment disputes are heard by the DIFC courts, not the UAE mainland courts. Statutory limitation period. Claims must generally be filed within 6 months of the termination of employment. If you want a specific topic to be covered, kindly comment, and we will bring the video on that. Proactive strategy over reactive compliance is key. By leveraging legal frameworks, HR can attract and retain top talent, turning legal knowledge into a competitive advantage. Recap. We've explored the UAE's labor law landscape from the scope of application to strategic advantages. By understanding these laws, HR professionals can build modern, attractive workplaces. Takeaway. By mastering these laws, you'll not only ensure compliance, but also create a thriving workplace that attracts top talent. Legal knowledge is your tool for building a successful organization. Call to action. Let's continue learning together. Dive deeper into UAE labor laws and transform your HR function into a strategic powerhouse. Your journey to mastering these laws starts now. Thank you for watching. Remember, understanding and leveraging UAE labor laws is not just about compliance. It's about creating opportunities for growth and success. Let's make a difference together.